In the ancient world of over 26 centuries ago, people struggled with the same questions we still face today. Why do we suffer? How can we find peace? What is the purpose of this life? Buddhism began as a response to these deeply human concerns, and it spread not because the Buddha was a conqueror or a prophet, but because ordinary people heard his message, practiced it sincerely, and changed their lives. Among those early practitioners were individuals whose dedication, intelligence, and compassion helped preserve the teachings for future generations. Their names became synonymous with different strengths on the path to awakening, and their lives continued to inspire modern seekers around the world. Today, on Simple Buddha Living, we journey through the stories of 5 of the Buddha's greatest disciples. They were not mythical saints. They were real human beings, people with doubts, fears, talents, and weaknesses, who walked the path with sincerity. Their journeys show us that there is no single way to awaken, and that each person can find their own door into wisdom. One of the most remarkable disciples was Sariputra, or Sariputta, known as the Buddha's chief disciple in wisdom. Before meeting the Buddha, Sariputra was already a respected thinker, someone who questioned everything. He wanted truth he could test for himself, not something based on blind faith. His life changed when he met a monk named Assaji, who carried a serene presence that seemed rooted in deep inner freedom. Sariputra approached him and asked what his teacher taught. Assaji humbly explained he was new to the practice, but could share the essence. All things arise from causes, and the Buddha explains both these causes and their cessation. In that moment, something inside Sariputra awakened. The simplicity of the statement revealed the entire structure of reality. He understood dependent origination, the insight that all things arise due to conditions, and by transforming those conditions, suffering can end. What made Sariputra extraordinary was not only his brilliant mind, but his humility. He never used his wisdom to dominate others. Instead, he explained the teachings with clarity and kindness, helping new monks understand the Dharma in simple, practical ways. He organized the community, taught countless practitioners, and became one of the Buddha's most trusted companions. Through Sariputra, we learned that wisdom is not about knowing more, it is about seeing clearly. It is about using intelligence gently, with compassion, to illuminate the path for others. If Sariputra represented the sharpness of wisdom, then his lifelong friend Moggallana, known as Moggallana, represented intuitive depth, the profound world of meditation. While Sariputra excelled in analysis, Moggallana had a natural sensitivity to the inner dimensions of consciousness. After hearing the Buddha's teachings, he awakened quickly and dedicated himself to meditation with extraordinary discipline. Over time, he developed abilities that became legendary: deep concentration, visions of distant realms, an understanding of karmic consequences, and the ability to perceive states of existence beyond the physical world. But what made Moggallana special was not these powers themselves, but how he used them, with compassion and purpose. One of the most well-known stories describes how he saw his deceased mother suffering in the realm of hungry ghosts. Struck with sorrow, he tried to offer her food, but it would burst into flames before she could eat it. In distress, he asked the Buddha how he could help her. The Buddha advised him to dedicate acts of merit to her through the support of the Sangha, leading to what is now celebrated as the Ullambana festival, a time when practitioners dedicate goodness to their ancestors so that suffering beings may find relief. Whether taken literally or symbolically, the story teaches that compassion extends beyond death, that we can support others' spiritual growth, and that meditation is not an escape from the world, but a tool for understanding and alleviating suffering. Moggallana shows us that introspection is only meaningful when it blossoms into compassion.
Then there was Ananda, the Buddha's cousin, and the disciple beloved by everyday practitioners more than any other. Ananda was not known in the early years for deep meditation or supernatural abilities. His strength was something simpler and more universally human, the ability to listen with complete presence. Ananda remembered everything. For more than 20 years, he walked beside the Buddha, absorbing every teaching, every story, every nuance. This is why so many Buddhist discourses begin with the phrase, "Thus have I heard." These words come from Ananda's memory, recited during the first council after the Buddha's passing. But what made Ananda even more respected was his compassion. He was gentle, empathetic, and deeply concerned with fairness and inclusion. When women wished to join the monastic community, it was Ananda who advocated for them, and his respectful persistence led the Buddha to establish the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Ananda teaches us that kindness is its own form of wisdom, that listening can be as sacred as speaking, and that the path is not only about meditation or analysis, but also about love and service. Yet, Ananda was also deeply human. He struggled with attachment, especially his profound love for the Buddha. After the Buddha passed away, he grieved intensely. But that grief motivated him to practice deeply, and one night, while contemplating impermanence, he let go fully and attained enlightenment. His story reassures us that flaws and struggles do not disqualify us from awakening. They are part of the journey.
Another great disciple, Mahakassapa, or Mahakassapa, represented the spirit of simplicity and renunciation. He came from a comfortable background, but felt a deep longing for a life of meaning beyond material comfort. When he met the Buddha, the connection was immediate, as though recognizing a teacher he had known long before. Mahakassapa was known for living with extreme simplicity. He wore rag robes made from discarded cloth, slept lightly, ate simply, and practiced austerity with sincerity. Even the Buddha admired his dedication and once offered him his own robe, symbolizing a transmission of the Dharma. After the Buddha's passing, Mahakassapa played a critical role in preserving the teachings. He organized the first Buddhist council, ensuring that the Dharma and the monastic rules were recited, agreed upon, and passed down accurately. Without his leadership, the early community might have fractured, and much of what we know today as Buddhism might have been lost. Mahakassapa teaches us that clarity arises from letting go. When our lives become less cluttered, our minds become more spacious. He reminds us that the path does not require anything elaborate, that sometimes the deepest spiritual nourishment comes from choosing less, not more. Finally, we turn to Khema, one of the Buddha's most celebrated female disciples, known especially for her extraordinary wisdom. Her story speaks deeply to modern listeners because her struggle began with something so common today: attachment to appearance. Khema was known for her beauty and intelligence, but she carried pride in her looks. When she first visited the Buddha, she was hesitant and perhaps even defensive. The Buddha, seeing her attachment, used a gentle but powerful method. He created the vision of a beautiful woman aging rapidly, moving from youth to adulthood into old age, sickness, and death, all within moments. As Khema watched the transformation, a profound insight arose in her heart.
She realized that beauty is fleeting, that the body cannot be clung to, and that suffering comes from tying our identity to what inevitably changes. In that moment, she awakened. After her enlightenment, Khema became a respected teacher. She spoke with confidence, debated scholars and kings, and explained the teachings with clarity and sharpness. Her example speaks directly to our modern concerns: anxiety about aging, pressure around appearance, fear of losing identity. Khema shows that liberation comes from seeing clearly into the nature of the body and mind, and from letting go of the illusions we cling to. When we bring these 5 disciples together, they form a powerful tapestry of the Buddhist path. Sariputra shows the beauty of clear understanding. Moggallana reveals the depth of meditation and the power of compassion in action. Ananda demonstrates the importance of empathy, listening, and memory. Mahakassapa reminds us that simplicity can be a doorway to freedom. And Khema teaches us to free ourselves from attachment to image and identity. These qualities, wisdom, meditative depth, compassion, simplicity, and insight, are not ancient relics. They remain alive, relevant, and practical for anyone seeking peace today. When we face stress, confusion, or conflict, the disciples' stories guide us to pause, breathe, and respond from a place of clarity rather than habit. The Buddha did not walk his path alone, and neither do we. The Sangha, the community, is essential. These 5 great disciples were not perfect from the beginning. They grew, learned, stumbled, and awakened through practice. Their stories remind us that awakening does not require extraordinary abilities. It requires sincerity, awareness, and the willingness to see ourselves honestly. As you continue your own journey, may Sariputra inspire your insight, Moggallana inspire your inner exploration, Ananda inspire your compassion, Mahakassapa inspire your simplicity, and Khema inspire your courage to let go. May their lives help you walk your own path with clarity, gentleness, and ease, living simply and fully awake in each moment.